Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, we're going to be learning the perfect song for Halloween, which AJ has titled Haunted Uke. Now, as you guys heard in the performance, this is a duet with the piano. So the piano handled all of the harmony, so that means it did all of the chord work, whereas the ukulele played the melody. Now, we will have the backing track, that piano backing track that you can download and play along with. We'll talk about that in a second. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to teach you not just the melody that the ukulele played, but also the chord work. So if you want to play this song as a duet with another ukulele player, you'll be able to do just that. So for this lesson, we're going to approach it this way. We're going to first learn the melody. This song is an A-B-A form. So we have an A melody and a B melody. So we'll learn the melody first, and then after that, we'll learn the harmony. So I'll give you the chords to play, and I'll give you a couple ideas on ways that you can strum it and finger pick it. So different choices to kind of give you a few options. It's a very open-ended, kind of take it and make it your own kind of thing. So that's how we're going to structure the lesson. So that means in this video, we're learning the entire song. But if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, you can do so by clicking this link or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for Haunted Uke. Now also on that page will be the on-screen tab viewer. So this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish, just a really great asset for learning this song that much easier. And last but not least, on that page is also the backing track, so that piano backing track. So once you learn the melody, you can download the backing track and play along with it. So that is probably the coolest part of this lesson because it sounds so awesome with the piano backing track. So we'll have that on that page as well, guys. Now let's go ahead and jump into talking about a couple tips to help you out with learning this song. The first thing is you can play this song either on a high G or a low G because all of the melody happens on string 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to be using my low G because when we do get to the end of this lesson where we talk about what you can do for the chord work, so if you want to play this as a double uke duet, I like chords that utilize that low G, and it gives you a bit of a haunting kind of sound to some of the chord work that we have. Now the second point that I want to talk about is our right hand picking approach. So for this melody, that's what we're starting this lesson off on. The melody is all played again on strings 1, 2, and 3. Now I like to use a 2-finger alternate picking method, which is called piccato. It basically looks like this. It's literally that simple. So your middle finger leads and then the index follows. So just go second, first, second, first, second, first. So if you're new to this technique, you can just take that open A string and just practice alternating. So if I'm playing on string 1 or string 2, I'm going to be using that piccato. If I have a melody note that falls onto string 3, I'm going to do a bit of a hybrid. I'm going to use my thumb to play the melody notes on string 3. Kind of like that. So you can see that I use the thumb for that, and then I go to piccato picking for string 2. So thumb, piccato, piccato. Now, we rushed through piccato, so if you're new to that technique, then check out this lesson, which is called La Gitanita. It's a flamenco tune that I taught about a year back or so. It's a really cool sounding song, but I break down the mechanics of piccato picking in greater detail in that lesson. So it's a really cool one to go through. Now with that said, that's the approach I'm using. This song, you can do pretty much any right hand approach. You can even play the entire song with just the thumb. So if you want to pick everything with just the thumb, kind of like that, that works as well. So I'll leave it up to you for what you want to do. But the big thing that I do want to talk about, this is the third point, the last one. This is a song that I would highly encourage you to count the rhythms while you play through it. So this is a tune that is at 65 BPM. That's a very slow tempo. And anytime we're playing a song that has such a slow tempo that's paired with a melody that is quite sparse, right? If I play just the first couple bars, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We literally have like 3 notes, right, over the first 2 measures. So anytime you have a song that has a slow tempo and a very sparse melody, it makes it harder to approach it playing by ear, right? If you contrast that to a recent lesson that we did, which is this one, The Entertainer. The Entertainer is an upbeat tune with a very catchy and full, like, continuous melody. Da 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 ba 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 ba, da 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 da. Right, so that song you can just naturally just falls to ear and you sing it and it just makes a lot of sense. But this one, if you try to sing it, lam, da, da, right? It's much harder. So my suggestion and how we're going to be teaching it throughout this entire lesson is by counting the rhythms that we play. But we can actually do a hybrid of singing and counting. So I could sing every hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, right? So you can hear that I was just singing those hits and then counting the in-between, right? So if you're new to counting rhythms while you're playing, then I'm going to put a link to our introductory to understanding rhythmic notation. So that link will be in the description box below for that lesson. But honestly, guys, the best way to really understand and be able to do what I just demonstrated is to learn to read standard notation. So learning to read music is the best way to understand how rhythm and timing connect. So check out our full-length course to do just that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the tune. It's, again, a form of A-B-A. So we only have an A melody and a B melody, and then it goes back to the A melody, and that's it. So each melody is 8 bars in length, and let's jump into it. So the first 2 bars I already played, but let me play it again, and we'll break it down and learn it. So it sounds like this. 3, 4, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. So we literally have just a few notes. So let's figure out what's happening. So this song is going to start with a slide. It's going to be the middle finger going 5 to 7 on string 1. Now, this is what we call a grace note. So this little slide 5 to 7. Grace note is a fancy music terminology that means we're adding embellishment to the music, and embellishment is that slide that we just did, right? If we play this as straight up regular notes, it would sound like this: 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very vanilla, right? But if we add that little grace note, slide 2, 3, 4, 1, it makes it sound just that much more interesting, right? So there's 2 types of grace notes. There's a grace note that is played before the beat, slightly before the beat, and there's a grace note that happens directly on the beat. Now, the ones that AJ is doing for this tune, almost all of them are slightly before the beat. So all that means is this, and I'll visualize the counting of this. So here's our beats. We have 3, 4, slide. So let's go a bit slower. 3, 4, slide. So you can hear that I said slide right before I came down for beat 1. 3, 4, slide, right? That is an example of slightly before the beat. The other type of grace note is directly on the beat. So you're going to do slide directly when you come down. So not up here, but right there. So 3, 4, slide. So directly on the beat. So for this tune, again, AJ uses the one that's slightly before the beat. So you just want to do the slide right before you come down. 3, 4, slide. Okay, so let's try that. We're going 5 to 7 on string 1, and we're going to do the grace note slightly before the beat. 3, 4, slide. Cool. So this one is going to get held out for 3 beats After that, we're just going to move the finger down to the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Okay, so you have slide, 2, 3, 4. So just go down to the 2nd fret, and on beat 4, you're going to play that B note. So let's see if we can try this entire first measure together. So keep in mind, we're doing the slide slightly before the beat, holding it out for beat 1, 2, and 3. And then on beat 4, we're playing the B note, the 2nd fret. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. Slide, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Going into measure number 2, it's very easy. It's the open A, and that gets held out for the entire measure, so it's a whole note. So let's try this. Let's go measure 1 into measure 2. So together we have 2, 3, 4. Slide, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Looking at the 3rd measure, it's going to sound like this. 2, 3. Okay, so you can see it starts exactly the same. We have 5 to 7, just sliding. It's going to get held again for 3 beats, so we have slide, 2, 3, and then we're going to play 9, 10. So all on that same 1st string. So I'm going to use my index and then my middle finger to play those 2 notes. So index, middle for 9, 10. So that's going to happen on 4 end. So we have slide, 2, 3, 4 end. So let's see if we can try just that 3rd measure. Here we go. 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4 end. Nice. Now going into our 4th measure, we have a hammer-on. So keep that index finger planted on that 9th fret. You're going to hammer on with the middle to 10, and then lift up and play 9 again. And that's going to get held out for the remainder of the bar. So rhythmically, we have 1 E end. Okay, so 1 E end, that gets held out into 2, into 3, into 4. Right, so together, 3, 4, 1 E end. Right, so let's see if you and I can try it, and we'll count to the end of the measure just to make sure all clarity is intact. 2, 3, 4, 1 E end, 2, 3, 4. So now let's do this. Let's try 3 into 4, and then we'll try 1 into 4. So 3 into 4 sounds like this. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Cool. So you and I will try it together. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. So another thing that I'm doing too is, since there's so much space between notes, you can add a bit of vibrato to your note. So let's do this. Let's just take the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Instead of playing it just very flat, maybe we'll add a little bit of vibrato. So the way to do this is to keep pressure held down on the note and to move it up and down very subtly. And you can hear that note quivers a little bit instead of being perfectly flat. So there's a lot of different ways to do vibrato, and there's ways to get it very pronounced, and there's ways like this to get it a little bit more subtle. So if you're new to vibrato, we have a insanely in-depth article that I wrote. I think I went above and beyond on it, to be honest. But I'll put the link in the description box below. It's going to teach you 5 exercises for doing vibrato. And doing vibrato with chords is actually a little bit trickier. So that lesson covers that as well. So I'll put that in the description box below. But you can add that vibrato to any time you just have a lengthy note. So maybe for the first 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So those first little slides, you can add a little bit of vibrato. Right, and for that last note as well. So that leads us into playing 1 through 4. So let's try measure 1 through 4. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, slide. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slide. 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Cool. So pretty simple, pretty sparse so far. Let's go ahead and look at our 5th measure, and the 5th measure is actually identical to the 1st measure. So you're doing the exact same thing. You're going slide, 2, 3, 4. So everything is the same. So let's jump into measure number 6. Measure 6 is where it gets a little bit trickier because we have some syncopation happening. Syncopation means that we're playing not directly on the beat. So anytime you're playing on the beat, that just means that you're playing on 1, 2, 3, 4. If you subdivide that beat into eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and those ends, the up beats, that means syncopation. Now it gets a little bit harder in this measure because we're not doing eighth note syncopation, but instead we're doing 16th note syncopation. So let me play this measure, and this is one that we're going to approach both ways. We're going to do it by ear, but we're also going to do it with counting. So let me play through it first so you can get a context of what it sounds like, and then we'll break it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I played into the next bar for that open E, that last note. But now let me do this. Let me count and play. So we have 3, 4, 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and a 1. Okay, so taking away the uke, rhythmically wise, we have a hit on 1. That hit is going to last into beat 2, and this is where our syncopation happens. So we want to think of beat 2 as 2E and A, right? We're subdividing it into 16th notes. So we have 1, 2, A. So the second hit of this bar happens on the A of beat 2. So it's the very tail end of beat 2. Da, da, da. Right, so you can hear it's a quick ba ba going into beat 3. 1, 2, a 3. Right, so that's the tricky thing. It's a quick, tiny little hit at the very end of beat 2. And then that's going to happen again at the very end of beat 3. So you have 1, 2, a 3, a 4. So 1, 2, a 3, a 4. Okay? And then if you look at beat 4, everything is 16th notes. 4E and A. And you tie it into the first hit of the next measure is the open E. So here's everything together. 1, 2, a 3, a 4E and a 1. So you want to get that memorized. Da, ba, 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 da, 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 da. This is one that you can sing a lot easier. And again, it takes us back to what I explained in the beginning of the video, that it's easier to sing a song like The Entertainer because there's melody happening constantly, just like this one. There's melody happening constantly. So this one is a good one for singing and playing, but it's also good to study that syncopated 16th note rhythm. So that's a really good way to push our musicianship as well. So we have ba da 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 da. So try to sing this one, but also think of the rhythm as well. 1, 2, a 3, a 4 and a 1. It's good to approach it both ways. All right, so let's break down what's happening. It's only a handful of notes again. So we have the open A, that's going to get held out. So you have 1, 2. On the A of beat 2, you're playing the 3rd fret on string 2 with the ring finger. After that, you're going to play the open A, and that's immediately after it. So 1, 2, a 3. That's going to get held out for all of 3 up until the A, when you're going to hit the 3rd fret on string 2 again. So 1, 2, a 3, A. Okay, so let's just try that. So we have O, 3, O, 3. Okay, here we go. 3, 4, O, 3, O, To finish it up, you're going to do a hammer-on pull-off, open, second, open on the A string. Okay, so make it sound like that. And then the last note is going to be the 3rd fret of string 2. Okay, so all that happens on beat 4. 4, E, and A. Okay, so let's just try beat 4 by itself. 4, E, and A. So here we go. 2, 3. Okay, if you tie the whole thing together. 1, 2, a 3, a 4, E, and A. Okay, so I would actually add the next note to finish up the phrase, the open E, because it just feels a little bit like we cut it short, right? We cut that short phrase short. So finish up with adding the open E, and that'll take us into the next measure. But before we learn the next measure, let's just try this one again by itself. So we have 3, 4, 1, 2, a 3, a 4, E, and a 1. Okay? If we remove the rhythm and we just play by ear, we have 3, 4. Okay, you can even sing it. 3, 4. Dum, ba da, da 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 da. Okay, one more time. 3, 4. 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and a 1. Okay. So that is probably, I think, the hardest measure in this entire song. So the rest of it is very, very simple compared to that. So going into our next measure, we're going to be playing measure number 7, and it's going to continue this phrase. So we left off by playing the open E. That's going to last for a beat and a half. So we have 1, 2. So on the end of 2, we're going to play second, 3rd on string 2. Okay, and that's going to be 16th notes. We have 1, 2, and okay, so let's try that. 3, 4, open, 2, 3. Okay, one more time, and I'll count it. 3, 4, 1, 2, and okay, after that, go back to the 2nd fret on string 2. That's going to last all of beat 3. And then go to the 3rd fret on string 3. That's going to last all of beat 3. So this 7th measure sounds like this. 1, 2, and a 3, 4. All right, it's a very catchy one to sing as well. Okay, let's try together. 3, 4. 1, 2, and a 3, 4. Awesome. To finish it up, going into measure 8. Just going to slide from where you left off, 3rd fret, into the 4th fret on string 3. And that's going to last the entire measure. So let's do this. So let's try 7 into 8. So we have from the open E, 3, 4, 1, 2, and a 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, done. Okay, if we backtrack, let's try 5 into 8. And remember, measure 6 is the tricky one. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, done. Okay, now if we backtrack the entire A melody, we have 2, 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, again, slide, 2, 3, 4, and 1, E, and 2, 3, 4, again, slide, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and a 1, 2, and a 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, done. So that is everything for our A melody. So measure 6 is the one that you just really want to kind of hit pause on this video and practice. That's the tricky one. But as we go into melody B, again, we want to keep in mind 8 bars in length and pretty sparse throughout. So let me play the first measure, and again, very, very simple. here's the first measure for melody B, and this is actually measure 9 in the tune, so we'll call it by that. So it's going to sound like this. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, and... Okay, so just a couple notes, right? So again, we have that little grace note that leads us in. So take the middle finger, you're going to put on the 7th fret of string 2, you're going to slide up a half step to 8. And that's going to get held out for 3 beats, just like we saw in melody A. So we're going 1, 2, 3. So for beat 4, you can put a little rest as an 8th note, and then you're going to literally pluck that note again, that 8th fret. So you have 1, 2, 3, rest, and... Okay, so when you rest, one thing you can do, you can just take the palm of the hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, on beat 4, just touch the string, that'll mute it. You could even lift pressure up, so if I have the note held down, if I lift pressure up, but don't lift all the way up, you're basically just touching the string but not pushing down. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's another way to mute it. So either one works, the right hand palm or just lift pressure up, or a combo of both. So again, we're hitting on the end of 4 for that last hit. So let's see if we can try that measure together. 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, and... Okay, measure number 2 sounds like this. Okay, let me count it out. We have 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and Okay, let's break down what's happening. So we left off on that 8th fret on string 2. We're going to keep that middle finger there. So it's very important that we use that middle finger to start us off, because if you look at this next part, this 10th measure, we're going to go sev, 8, sev. So it's going to be a hammer-on, sev to 8, and then back to sev with the index. So that's why we want to use the middle finger to start the tune. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 E, and... So you can see that using the middle leaves us with our index finger in place to play the 7th fret. Okay, so again, we're just going to play sev and hammer on to 8, 1 E, then lift up, play 7 again. That's going to get held out for quite a bit. So we have 1 E and 2, 3. Now on beat 4, again, we can add a little bit of a rest, because it's going to give us time to move down the neck to do this little slide plus the extra note. So check it out. We have 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and So on the ending of that 4th beat, and we're going to do a little slide, 2nd to 4 on string 3, and then use your index finger to play 3 on string 2, and so this is a good example of a grace note that happens exactly on the beat. So when you get to beat 4, 1 E and 2, 3, 4, that's basically when you're moving your hand down. On the end of 4, you're doing a slide directly on the beat, 2 to 4, and then go into the 3rd fret of string 2. So together, 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and So again, one more time. 1 E and 2, 3, move, and Okay, so let's try it together slow. 2, 3, 4. 1 E and 2, 3, move, and Okay, going into, actually let's do this, let's backtrack. Let's try the 9th into the 10th measure. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, and 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and Nice. Going into our 11th measure, very simple. It's going to be 3 notes. We're going to start with the ring finger on 5 on string 2. We're going to play that note, and then we're going to play 3rd and then 1st. So we're literally walking the melody down string number 2. Rhythmically, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So half followed by quarters. Let's give it a shot. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Going into our next measure, measure 12, we're going to start with the open E. That's going to last 3 beats. So you want to count it 1, 2, 3. Now here's where it gets a little tricky, I think, rhythmically, because it's kind of an interesting thing. You're going to be starting on beat 4. You're going to play the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with your index finger. Hold it for an 8th note. So you have 4, and when you get to the end of it, you're going to slide up to the 5th fret and then play the 7th fret with the middle finger. So together you have 4 and ah. Right? So it's literally 8th note followed by 16th. So this is 8th note, this is 16th. Okay, so 4 and ah. Okay, so 4 and ah. Alright, so that is really tricky because a lot of times when we do slides, we want to just rush it. We want to play it from the get-go like that, but you can't with this one. You've got to go 4 and ah. Now, when we put it into context, let me play 11, 12 into 13, and that'll really make this slide make a lot more sense. So check this out. I'll count it out. So we have 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3. So you can hear da 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 da. That's what you want to get stuck in your head for that little phrase. You want to think of it as a transition from 12 into 13. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. 3, 5, 7, 8. Okay? So let's try this first before we learn 13, and then we're going to practice that transition. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a. So 3, slide, 7. Let's go slow. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, 5. Okay, going into 13. Keep the middle finger where it's at. You're going to do a little grace note on the beat, slide 7 to 8. That's going to finish that phrase. That's going to get held out for 3 beats. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to connect the ending of 12 into 13. But let's start at the beginning of 12. So we have 1, 2, 3. Da 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 da. That's what you want to make it sound like. Let's try again. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Nice. One more time. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Okay, that's really hard. That was probably that in measure 6, I think, were the tricky aspects of this. And again, it's tricky because a lot of times when we do slides, we just want to slide immediately, right? Doesn't work with this one. That's the key thing you got to remember. Got to hold on to that 3rd fret before you do the slide for an 8th note. So let's try this before we continue on for the last 4 measures. Let's just backtrack and let's try 9 through 12, but we'll play into that first hit of 13. So we'll just complete that phrase. 2, 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, and 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1. Awesome. So continuing on with measure 13, we slide into this and we're holding it for 3 beats. 1, 2, 3. Now, here's where AJ did one tiny minor variation. The first measure for melody B, measure 9, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and we hit on the end of beat 4. But for this one, he's hitting on beat 4 instead. So he's going 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so a tiny minor little variation. Honestly, you can copy him for this variation, or you can play it just like measure 9. Not a big deal. I'll leave it up to you if you want to play exactly as he did, or if you want to play it as measure 9. But just keep it in mind as we move forward through this lesson, we'll play it on beat 4. So let's try it together. 13. 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now going into measure 14, it's actually identical to measure 10. So we have, right, so we have that hammer on, and then finishing up with a little slide and ending on the melody note on string 2. So let's try this. Let's try 13 into 14. The only difference again is beat 4. 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and okay. Going into 15, it's going to be 2 notes. So you're going to start again on that 5th fret of string 2. Hold it for 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. On beat 4, you're playing the 3rd fret. Okay, so let's try that. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Into the last measure, 16. Just go down a half step. You're going to play 2nd fret. That's going to be a half note. And then the open E and the 3rd fret of string 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do this. Let's try 15 into 16. Sounds more like a complete phrase. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if we backtrack, let's try all of 13. Or sorry, the last 4. Let's try all of the last 4. So here we go. 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. And if we backtrack again, the entire melody B, so 9 through 16. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, slide, 2, 3, 4, and 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2, 3, 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Now after that, it's going to go back into the A melody. So you're going to play measures 1 through 8 to a T exactly again. And that's going to conclude the tune. So that's everything for our melody, guys. The hard thing here is rhythmically speaking, right? Remember, slow tempo, 65 beats per minute. A lot of sparseness, right? Not like the Entertainer where, you know, melody. It's continual melody. A lot of sparseness. So counting is a big key in getting this tune down. So counting the rhythms while you play, tapping your foot along, doing all of that stuff is a great way to tackle this tune. So let's talk about a few ways that we can turn this from a piano and uke duet into a uke and uke duet. So we're going to talk about the harmony. So let's kick back to melody A. So the easiest way to play this as a duet playing chords is to just strum on beat 1 and hold it for a whole note. So if I play just the first 2 bars, I have E minor, and then for the second measure, I'm going to a variation in E minor 11 with a C note on the bass. So literally I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it actually repeats. Bar 3 is the same, 2, 3, 4, bar 4 is the same. Okay, and then again it actually repeats again. Bar 5 is the same, and then bar 6. So the first 3 times that you're going is E minor to E minor 11 over C. So let's learn these chords. I think most of us know E minor. It's that stock staircase shape. So the only new one that we have to learn is what happens for measure 2, measure 4, and measure 6. So it's an E minor 11 over C. So start with the basic E minor. To transition to the next chord, what you're going to do is you're going to move the index finger up 1 string. So it's going to go up to the 2nd string, 2nd fret, and I would use the pinky finger to play 5 on string 4. Okay? You could use the ring finger if you like. It's a little bit of a stretch. So try both out. I think the pinky's easier, but if you want to use the ring finger there, that works as well. But you want to just practice this transition. You want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the first 6 measures, just alternates between those two. So let's do that. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, strum. 2, 3, change. 2, 3, 4, measure 3. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, measure 5. 2, 3, measure 6. 2, 3, 4. Measure 7, we're going to a basic A minor. That's going to be beat 1 and beat 2. Then on beat 3, you're going to a B7. So we're going to do a bar chord. So bar flat on the 2nd fret. Take that middle finger, put it on the 3rd fret of string 3. Now, anytime you're doing bar chords, proper left hand form is vital. And proper left hand form isn't only what's happening up here in front of the neck. It's also what's happening behind the neck. So this little U-shaped gap where our thumb is placed matters a lot in building proper, not only proper form, but getting finger strength. Because that's the thing with this bar chords. The hard thing is really comes down to, do we have the correct form so that everything is being pushed down at an equal strength? And that's what gives us every note ringing out nice and crystal clear. So if you're new to studying proper left hand form, I'm going to put our article and video lesson on it, and a link to that in the description box below. So again, that measure 7, is just A minor, 1, 2, 3, 4 to B7. Okay. To finish it up, measure 8 is going to go to just a higher voicing of E minor. So again, a partial bar for this one. So lay flat 7th fret, strings 1, 2, and 3. Take the ring finger, put it on 9 on string 4. Now, if you want to make it easier, you can get rid of the ring finger. You can just strum 3 down. And that's going to last the entire measure. So let's try 7 into 8. So we have 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, done. Okay, so if we backtrack, let's try all of melody A. Remember, the first 6 bars is just alternating the E minor to the E minor 11 over C. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, measure 3. 2, 3, measure 4. 2, 3, 4, measure 5. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Here's our change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, done. Okay, so let's talk about melody B now. And for melody B, I'm going to give you a couple of other ideas that you can do to kind of move away from this sparse sound, because all we've done so far is just strum down on beat 1 and hold it for the measure. So first off, let's learn the chord for the first 2 bars of melody B, so 9 and 10, and then we'll talk about a way to finger pick it and maybe a way to strum it as well. So the first chord is a little tricky. It's a 4-finger chord. So we have a variation on an A minor. So it looks like this. So to do this, you're going to take the index finger, put it on 2 on string 4, take the ring, put it on 4 on string 3, pinky goes 5 on string 2, and then your middle finger goes 3 on string 1. Okay, so 4-finger chord. Really important that you're on fingertip for all of this and you have a curve at that first joint. Okay, so don't look like this middle finger, flat or anything like that. We want a nice curve at that first joint. Okay, so there's our first A minor. So just take a moment to get used to it. If you want to make it easier, again, you can cut out string 4. Okay, and that'll make it a lot easier to play. But I'm going to add it because it sounds cool. It's got that nice bass sound, especially if you're playing on a low G. So let's try this. We're just going to hit it for beat 1, hold it for entire measure. And when we go into measure number 10, we're just switching back to the stock staircase E minor, right? So it's an easy switch, so check out what happens. These will lift up, these two. This one goes up directly 1 string, and the index goes down to the first string. So it's an easy transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if you want to continue on with the sparse way of playing it, you can just keep doing the whole note strums. But to switch it up a little bit, let's create a little finger picking pattern. So to do so, let's look at this rhythm. We're going to have strum, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can see we have a quarter followed by all eighths starting on beat 2. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just strumming on beat 1. On beat 2, I'm going to start my eighth note finger picking pattern, which is going to be 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2. So strum, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2. So memorize that pattern. And you can use a 3-finger approach for this. So thumb gets string 4 and 3, index gets string 2, middle gets string 1. Strum, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2. Going into E minor, same thing. Strum, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2. Right, it's a very cool sounding little finger picking. Okay, and if you continue with this song, we haven't learned the rest yet. It sounds really neat as a little finger picking pattern. So if you like how that sounds, you can use that for this section with as the underlaying groundwork for the melody to play on top of. Now an alternative option that you could use is maybe a strum pattern, and we can even do a slight variation on the island strum. So remember, the island strum is just down, down, up, down, up, right? So let's get rid of that last up on the end of 4, and we can try this rhythm. We can have 1, 2, and 4. So just down, down, up, down. So that would sound and look like this. I'll play over those first couple bars. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4. So you can do that as a simple little strum pattern. That works as well. You can even do something that's even more sparse. Maybe you try this one out. You could go half note followed by quarter and eighth note, something like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So that works really well. So that is down, 2, down, down, up, down, 2, down, down, up. So even simpler, right? So there's 3 options. So again, we have finger picking, or we can have that variation of the island strum, or we can even make it sparse. 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, so 3 different options. Actually 4, because you could just do 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. You can keep it as the whole note rhythm as well. So 4 options. So just experiment with it. Try them all out, and if you like one, roll with it, or come up with your own. There's so many. There's an infinite possibility of what you can do. But now that we know 9 and 10, let's look at measure 11. So it's going to go to an F major 7. It's a very easy chord to make. So you're going to take that middle finger, put it on 5 on string 4, put the ring finger underneath, it's 5 on string 3. Those 2 strings underneath it are open. And then going into E minor, all we're going to do for the next measure is lift the middle finger up, move that ring finger back to the 4th fret, and then take the index finger, put it down on the 2nd fret of string 1. So it's that staircase shape without the middle finger. We're going to keep the 2nd string as an open E. So you can do that for measure 12. So if you look at measure 11, we have F major 7, and then we're just going to switch into the slight variation on E minor. So let's try this. Let's try 9 through 12. So again, let's just keep it simple. Let's do the whole note strums. 1, 2, ready, go. Strum, 2, 3, 4, strum, 2, 3, 4, strum, 2, 3, 4, strum, 2, 3, 4. Now going into measure 13, you're going back to that A minor. So again, you want to just practice some of these transitions. So reverse engineer going from E minor to the A minor. So again, just the index comes up, pinky goes down and middle finger moves directly down to the first string. Okay, so measure 13 starts with the A minor, measure 14 goes back to the E minor, measure 15 goes to a stock F, gives us a little variation instead of playing that F major 7, so a little less color in the chord, so stock F, and then we're going to play a higher voicing of B7 for the very last bar, 16. So this higher voicing, you can see it's the basic G7, just moved up the neck, so we're going to be on 6, 5, and 6. We want to use the ring, middle, pinky, and then you can use the index finger for 4 on string 4. So I have 4, 6, 5, 6. Cool. So this is actually moving chord shapes up the neck until they become other chords is a really, really cool trick that you can learn. It all comes from a method that's called the caged method. So it's a concept that you can learn that teaches you how to make these basic chord shapes like this G chord. If you move it up the neck to 7, 8, 7, becomes a higher voicing of C. The benefit of learning the caged method is that if you're playing with somebody in a jam situation and they're playing the stock C here, you don't have to copy them. You can play it up here, for example, and it creates a beautiful harmony over what they're doing. So I'll put a link to our caged method lesson. Super duper awesome concept to learn that helps you expand chord playing beyond the beginning of the neck. So let's try this, guys. Let's cycle through the last 4 bars, 13 through 16. Again, just whole note hits. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, stock F. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, done. Okay, and if we cycle through all of melody B, we have 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Nice. And keep in mind, it just goes back to melody A, and you're playing the exact same chords that we covered earlier. So that's the entire tune, guys. So this one is a lot of fun to play. It's a good one for studying counting rhythms while you play. So that's for the melody. And then for the harmony, you have the choice of either playing with the backing track, so you can download that piano backing track, or you can grab a friend and do it as a uke duet, covering what we just, learned. So I do want to remind you guys that if you want to get the tabs to just print off and keep for your records, you can do so by clicking this link or going to the site, rockclass101.com, and doing a search for Haunted Uke. Don't forget, on that page also was that really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer, so you can hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. Plus, the backing track is available for download as well. So if you want to play the melody with the piano playing the harmony, you'll be able to do so as well. So that's a really, really fun asset. So guys, again, as always, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.